Well, once again, it's time, my friends, for another meet and greet. We're Southern Fried and nationwide, so hang on to your seat. Look around, here's what I found. I guess you'll never know what you'll see on the Southern Fried Podcast Show. Yeehaw!
This is David the AM with the Southern Fried Podcast. We are now an affiliate of Podbean. Podbean is an audio platform which helps you get your voice out there. You can go online and go live from your very phone that you use. You don't have to have a lot of special equipment. It's nice to have a studio, but it's expensive. You can do those things from your phone. Hey, I was a listener of Podbean before I even became a podcaster. Maybe you've thought about being one. There was a time when I didn't think about being a podcaster, but think about it. You've got things to share. It could be as simple as baking, or it could be working on a car. The stories are endless that you could come up with to be a podcaster. And there are people out there that want to listen and to your stories and to your shows. And we're thankful for all those that watch and listen to us. Podbean is now an affiliate of the Southern Fried Podcast. Unless you're a business plan, that would be the bottom one. The one on top, use that. You'll get discounts, and also the Southern Fried Podcast benefits in this as well. I love Podbean. They also help launch out to many other audio sites. This saves me time. Time is precious. Time to be on the podcast. Time for research. Time to be with family. And yes, time to work. Yes, we still work out there in the workforce. So become a podcaster. Use Podbean. And when you use these links, one of them, you will save money, and you'll also help the Southern Fried Podcast. Thanks so much for all your support. Take care. We'll see you soon. And good morning. Good morning. See if you ever coming in. Sorry for the late start. We don't always do a Tuesday show, which we had planned to do. Everything was going fine until one password started hanging up. It's always life's little mysteries of why something doesn't work. I don't know what it was, but it's okay. We got it fixed, and we are live. It's just Tuesday Talk with Dave and AM. Robert usually is not here on Tuesday, but we're glad to be here. A few minutes I wanted to come in before we head off to a meeting I have to do, or actually a class I'm going to be doing for my work. But wanted to come in and say, hey, this morning I see the news has changed. We started seeing the news change yesterday about the tariffs, and also the taking of additional illegals and criminals. El Salvador is now saying, Marco Rubio is saying they will take, El Salvador will, some of theirs as well, or all of theirs. So we're seeing the president making moves. 30-day reprieve on the tariffs. There'll be negotiations ongoing. I suspect that they'll get that taken care of. China's rattling the saber a little bit, but I think they'll, in the end of the day, nobody wants to lose money, and they certainly don't want to lose access to American markets, or that be hindered in some way. So, and they want American goods and services as well. So it'll get worked out. But good Tuesday morning to you. Hope you're doing well. The weather is absolutely fabulous here in North Georgia, United States. We're tracking up to about 70 or a little more today, and it is the weather is awesome. It's so nice to step out of the house and the ground not be crunchy, and you're not having to brace bitter cold to come walk to the studio. So, first world problems, I know, but it is nice, and I appreciate it. As I get older, I don't care for the cold weather. Hope you saw our show last night. If you didn't, we had a really good time. It was a lot of fun, and there's a clip that is making its rounds this morning from the program. I was up late last night getting that clipped out and out. It is on most of our channels, but not all of them. But it is on some of them. I know it's on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram, and I think one or two more, and we'll push it out today. It's only about a minute 18 clip, but it's quite funny. talking about Southern foods and interaction between our guests and some of our fans and followers and stuff. So it's pretty funny if you get a chance to see that. Today, we'll probably have some scheduled shows tonight. We'll see what time we get home, and we're looking to do a sports show and another show this evening. Hopefully all will go well that we can do that. The rest of the week we have lives on Wednesday and Friday morning for sure. I may be here Thursday. I'm not sure on that, but we'll see. Hump Day news, absolutely. Cornbread Nation on Thursday night. Hump Days on Wednesday, Cornbread Nation on Thursday. All evening shows that are pre-planned are 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, of course, Friday night, Front Porch Talking. Saturday morning is Southern Fried MAGA and Southern Talk, couple of shows we do. And then that gets us into weekend programming, news, Sunday morning in the Word. So we do quite a few shows. We appreciate all of you for joining us. Some of you are in some of them or none of them or maybe one of them, and it doesn't matter, whatever. So we appreciate that. So, yeah, absolutely. Welcome to we had it all set up to go to the next Terrafor day, day 4, day 5, but he got that done. This president is amazing about getting things done and getting things moving, and we don't get bogged down. I saw where Zelensky was asking for more money. Are you kidding me? This guy is saying he needs money to find the money that's missing. They don't have the resources. So he wants more money to find the money that's missing. I'm sorry, you little dictator. Things are not going to end well for you over there, I believe. I think that Ukraine will come out of this, maybe not exactly the way they were. And a lot of that's your fault, bub. You pushed the envelope with NATO, and it just went ugly for you. You don't have the resources. We're going to get out of this thing, and I think that you're not going to be the leader of Ukraine much longer. I really believe that. I may be wrong, but I think his time is about to come to an end, and he's going to be pushed out. I mean, he's in the way of getting things done, and all he does is come with his hand out to the United States. $177 billion this country has received from the U.S. $177 billion, and they say they don't know where $100 billion of it is, or where it went, or what it funded, or whatever. Really? And you want $20 billion more just to do that? That's one of the news items that I read last night that really made me not very happy. I don't see this guy making it much longer. I really don't. We knew that north of the border, Mr. Trudeau, I didn't think he would last long on this being tough with the president, and it didn't. Obviously, it's going to get things done. He's in a tenuous relationship there up there anyway with the Canadians, and he has pledged $200 million to upgrade things along the border with the U.S. and more surveillance, more border agents, more of this, more of that. Amazing how that gets done. And we always knew, even the president said it would be painful to us. It was always going to be more painful to them. There is no doubt about it. It was going to be more painful for the Canadians in the long run. And we're not against Canadians. We just don't care for this leader, that's for sure. But they got to pay their fair share. They got to do what they got to do. The northern border has not been protected as it should. And also just in, the U.S. being in the best position for, keeping jobs here and our things being taken care of so that we can make money for our businesses and industry. Absolutely. So we'll see what China does. This is another one. This is a dossier one, but we'll see what happens with China, and that's going to be one of the things that's going to be any president. It wouldn't matter who is in there. They're going to have to face is the China question, and we'll see how it goes with China. I'm not sure about that. Hey, it's Super Bowl week, and looking forward to a good game. I hope it is. I believe it's going to be a good game. Of course, the Kansas City Chiefs have a chance to do something that is rarefied air. That's for sure, a three-peat. And, there's a lot of Kansas City haters out there. And there's also a lot of Philadelphia fans. I really like both teams a lot. I like what both teams have done. Of course, I'm a Bulldog fan. I like a lot of the Bulldogs playing on defense for Philly. I would like to see them get a ring. But, it's kind of neat if a team is there and they could do it and set history. So be it. Kansas City is always is a lot of people still overlook the ability of Kansas City to do what they do. Their defense doesn't get the credit that it deserves. That's really sets up the offense. And even though the offense is different from when Tyreek Hill was there and the deep passing game that they did, Andy Reid is a genius. I'm a firm believer in that. And Andy Reid is amazing in his play calling. He finds your weakness and he exploits it. And he just has the master magician back there in Mahomes to get it done. Some really good receivers that many of who don't get the credit that they deserve either. Kelsey takes a lot of credit and he deserves it, but he is not the only one receiving. The two-headed monster of the running backs for them is with Pacheco back. Him and Hunt are pretty amazing as well. And I wouldn't sleep on their backup tight ends either. They're really good. They've had some issues along the offensive line, some injuries, but they seem to be okay right now. Their defensive line is pretty daggone amazing. So this game, I think, will be close. At the last time I looked, the line was like 1.5. I don't expect that line to change too much because both these teams are built very powerfully. If you look at Philly, the problems they've had is when Hurts holds on to the ball too long and he makes bad decisions. With that running game they have, though, it's taking a lot of pressure off of him, and he can light you up. He sure can, but it's taking pressure off of him. If anything, I think Philly has a couple of really good receivers. I don't think their depth there is as good as it could be, but their running game is outstanding. And A.J. Brown is he's just a freak athlete, and he's been a little quiet. He woke up a little bit, pardon me, in the last game, but he's a humble player, do it all, does the blocking, is not looking for the credit all the time. It's really amazing, refreshing, absolutely, for that. They as well do well with the tight ends. Their defensive front is really good. I mean, this defense may be a little bit better than Kansas City's, but that's hard to gauge. Both are really good, but maybe the defensive line is slightly better. Jalen Carter Chris Jones has always been a disruptor along the Kansas City front. Jalen Carter is maybe more so. He's younger and he's just hungry and eating down there. And Jordan Davis, another fellow dog, plug in the middle on the early downs. He has made his presence known in the playoffs and even gotten a sack. Another amazing athlete. Nolan Smith coming on as he's kind of growing in his role. They did suffer an injury to former dog Nakobe Dean. He's out, but the replacement, the guy that was playing behind him, is playing lights out right now. They've got a couple of good defenders in the back end. So anyway, it's not a sports show, but I do want to mention, you see a lot of interviews this week. There's a lead up to the game, and it's always, I guess, if not one of the most watched sporting events of the year across the world. So even with the soccer being as huge as it is, the Super Bowl gets a lot of viewing, and a lot of people watch for the commercials. That's not really me, but a lot of people do. They pay so much for them. And security will obviously be very tight with all this going on, and we'll see what happens. Prop bets are out there for Taylor Swift. If you want to go bet on some stuff about her and Kelsey, then we'll see. You're welcome to do that. I'm not going to do it. I don't bet, but you're welcome to do that. But I hope it's a good game. I want to see a blowout, see it close, and I think that it will be. Although I think ultimately this game could end up late. It could be yes, Rude Poodle. I'm glad you mentioned that. Absolutely huge. I'm gonna put that on the screen. Absolutely huge trade. I was shocked at that trade. The Luka Doncic trade. I didn't see that one coming. I mean, I think, from what I read, they're hedging their bets along the fact that he was maybe not wanting to stay and they will have a hard time. So get something for him now. And certainly they did. But that is, that was as big a trade as I've ever seen for two superstars and one that's even younger, and the talent level he has. And dadgone it always has to be L.A. I'm not a Laker fan, but it has to be the dadgum Lakers. Wouldn't you know it? That's going to create a lot of energy. They do lose Davis, but they've got some capable players. But Luka in LA is, oh my goodness, it's great for him because it's going to open up even more it's going to open up even more his ability to market himself. And it's just a bigger market. I mean, Dallas is Dallas, but LA's LA. And of course, he gets to play with his hero. One of them, I guess. I know heroes are thrown around, but someone he really looks up to, and LeBron James. On the backside of the career, but still very able. This is interesting. I was shocked at this. This guy's playing on like a $49 million 1-year contract. They're gonna, they're gonna work to get a max deal for him. Other moves that were going on. There were other another big trade that was in the NBA. It's kind of shocking, really. Not kind of, it really is. It caught me off guard, but we are going to cover a little bit of the NBA this year, certainly. And definitely the racing. We're going to have our Southern Fried Racing Hour. News on that will be coming soon. We will do a Daytona 500 show. I hope to do one post and pre of the event. I always like that event, the Daytona 500. If you don't like NASCAR, it's fine, but it's a legendary race. The Daytona 500 is up there with the Indianapolis 500. It's just amazing. Speed weeks for NASCAR. Looking forward to that. And that's something we want to expand on. We've done sports shows, but it's kind of bounced a little bit. And some weeks we didn't. That's something I want to nail down as we get into the 2025 a little deeper. And we as football's wrapping up, we're headed in. We're looking at baseball, and we'll definitely look at NASCAR and yes, a little basketball. So the hope and still is that Cowboy Cook, my co-host for sports, will be in studio more. He's been sick. Y'all pray for him. He's been down about 3 weeks now, but we'll go on. The show must go on nonetheless. And I'm going to settle in on where that sports show, because if you don't nail one down to a set time, then you kind of bounce it, and then it's too easy to kind of get a little bit behind. So, but sports here at the Southern Fried is going to be soon have settled in. There'll still be add-in sports shows that we want to cover things. But definitely be looking. I'm gonna get that nailed down this week when the sports show is our sports show is going to add, and that's in addition to the Southern Fried Racing. Racing Hour is just Racing Hour, but the Southern Fried Sports will definitely air on a set time. We're kind of getting set up. We were really working on a lot. Yeah, you miss your Earnhardt. Hey, I get it. I grew up. I was not an Earnhardt fan, although I have tremendous respect for his ability. Both of them. Unfortunately, the one really for both was certainly the one for the death, the other one for the concussions, and I understand looking out for yourself. I suspect in the future you'll have it's just too much in the blood there. There'll be I know there's been some other little Kerry Earnhardt. There's been some, but one day there'll be another one on the scene. I just got a feeling. I don't know if I'll still be here to see that, but there's a lot of young, exciting race drivers. There really is, and there's those that you can get behind and really like, and there's those that it's fun to hate, I guess you could say. And racing is kind of like that. It's pretty. The lines are drawn really hard. I kind of got away from it. There was a couple of young drivers. It's happened to me a couple of times where unfortunately drivers have died that I really was excited about following. Adam Petty was one, back in the day. Davey Allison. Just really hard to watch that happen, and it just took wind out of my sails a little bit. So I get that, and I've got a couple of drivers alike. I try to keep up with a couple of them. There's a couple of young drivers. I'm going to really get in behind a couple this year. I haven't just when we go down the race teams and we look at that, I'll make that announcement. But I do. Do you? There used to be a guy that lived near me, and I guess he passed away, and his wife sold it all. But he used to, he'd have his garage open, and he had a sign on it called Earnhardt Avenue or Earnhardt Drive or something like that. And inside of his garage, it was like an Earnhardt shrine. Just driving by even, I could see that there were hundreds of items in that garage. He didn't park his car in there. That was just a shrine. He'd put his little lawn chair right there at the edge of I guess he was retired when I saw it. And I'm sure he probably went to races. And I'd go by there and he'd just sit out there, and I'm sure he had people that would stop by and talk to him about it. But he wanted to show off that memorabilia. He was proud of it. He should be. I'm just guessing he passed, and the wife said, "Oh, garage sale." I'm just assuming, but he had everything. But no other driver, certainly Daddy Earnhardt, no other driver comes close to some of the, I mean, just the nerves of steel and the ability to read other drivers and know how he could maneuver them. That if you see someone like that, yeah, yeah. When you get it, I used to be a collector of certain things. I wasn't collector. I have collected a few race things. But man, that is something. If you get into whatever you're collecting, it can kind of absorb you. You have to be careful. And I found out I collected music items, albums, and rarities and stuff like that. And it can really consume you. You have to really back away. My wife used to hate for me to walk into record conventions and stuff. Oh, she knew I was buying. She just didn't know how much. And I was never like buying thousands of dollars of stuff, but I kind of knew what I wanted. I had a budget, and I didn't make a lot of money, but then you're paying for it does get expensive, and you're paying for your rooms. If you're traveling, out to a place, you're going to have a room, you're going to have food, gas, all that stuff. And then you got to have your money for the convention. And then I also ordered some through the trade magazines and stuff, the collectors magazine, that would come out. This is before, nowadays with the internet, it started getting that way towards the end. I just sort of stopped mine. But I do have some stuff like that. I still have some things, but it is expensive. But I know, did you ever get a tire? I mean, man, to get a tire off of a car or a piece of a car. I mean, I've seen people that had front clips and stuff. I don't know how they got a hold of that stuff. I guess they just they do it for fundraising and stuff. Sometimes they'll sell that stuff for to help with causes and stuff. So sometimes I guess they just sell it outright. But I've known people that had the tire off of a NASCAR or a front clip or a door. But I think some of that's where the cars get wrecked and they end up selling something. It's worth some money. They sell it. They're expensive. I mean, even just if you're buying the little cast or something, those things get very expensive when you're buying those collectibles like that, or the figurines or whatever it is. I mean, there's so many different items that you can get. Then if you get an autograph on it or something like that, it really does jump the value of it. But I do like it. It's fun. I mean, if you can kind of maintain and not get too into it, you're okay. What happens is, how it is in any collecting, you get, if it's, we'll say 4 things, let's say 4, keep it simple, and they're all part of a collection. You can find 3 of them. It's always that one that's, mostly die cast. I had a few, but it's always that one thing that you can't hardly get a hold of. And that's where the expense part comes in. But yeah, the die cast is expensive enough just for that. And they always change to different ones. You've got different color schemes. As you all know, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but different color schemes. They'll, of course, they do that to market. It's like NFL or anything. They market different variations of jerseys and whatever it is. They do that with those die cast as well. And then special collections, when they have special races, July 4th or some special race, and they do a special one-time off color scheme or something for that car. You got to have it. That's part of the collection. You want it to sit right in there, and it's addictive. It is addictive as anything else that's out there. I promise you, it is as addictive as anything else out there. And I kind of got away from mine when, some stuff you collect, you don't open. But I was so into collecting and just music in general and getting stuff. I found that I was buying stuff and not even opening it. I was just on the next thing. And I realized for me it was time to kind of break it. So I did. I held on to the stuff that was mostly I was really close to, and I sold the rest. And I just needed that, But, there's people that collect every toy that McDonald's puts out. They'll collect several of them. They'll get the whole collection. They'll get several of each individual item. and those things go up in value. Beanie Babies, whatever it is. If you're into collecting, there is something out there you can collect. Star Trek, Star Wars. The list is endless. Anything that's out there you could collect and have. And believe it or not, we're hoping to develop something off of our puppets that we're doing, and we hope to have little teddy bears or something. We're talking about making those, changing those a little bit every year in the future, and because some new people would want different kinds, and so that's something that's a little bit down the road, but it's something that we were looking at for the kids or something. None of yours are open. Well, if you can do that, that's good. I mean, that is good to do, to not have it opened up and hold that value, and just sit on it. I was talking to a guy that I work with, and he has the Legos. I didn't realize how expensive Lego collecting had got. And he has these two, I forget what they're a Lego set. And he says the value on them when he got them was, I think they were like $250 or something a piece or something. Anyway, he is sitting on these things, and it is crazy. If you've not looked lately, look at the cost of Legos out there. The collectors really drive this stuff up, and it's incredible. It really is. And but it's fun. I mean, the journey is fun as long as you don't get eat up with it so much that you can't enjoy it. And it is fun. So I still collect a few little things. Nothing crazy. You have his Bud car in Lego, or you have to have his Bud. Yeah. That would be big. I mean, and if I guess whatever you can get out there, you can get it in Lego as well. There's another guy I work with. He's a big, he's a big Dodgers fan, because he came from California. He's moved out here to Georgia and has made his life here. But he's a big Dodgers fan, and some soccer teams. But he collects the little, not the bobbleheads, but it's the other small top. I can't think of the name of it. But he's got several Dodgers on his desk or in his bookcase at work, and he adds to it. Him and his wife collect, what's it called? Stranger Things, the show, stuff off of that. And it gets intense, and he perks up when you talk about that, because he likes his, they enjoy collecting. They don't have kids, they have dogs. And I think they have a whole room set aside just for some collecting, which is what happens. It takes over its own space. They've got drawers full of stuff and stuff displayed. It reminds me of an old episode of Coach. If you remember the Coach, I love that show. And they met some friends who were really into collecting, and they kind of made a little fun of it. It was crazy, but on Netflix. I guess I've never watched it, but I guess it's filmed maybe in Georgia, because I was telling him about some places around Georgia in the film industry, and has gotten big, and TV's shows filmed in Georgia. And he mentioned that I think it's filmed in Georgia, or at least parts of it. So, but I've never watched it. So, but he was telling me about it. I've heard of it, but I've never watched it. Heck, I don't have time to watch them. I don't have time to watch the things I want to watch, but yeah, you can get into that, and record collecting has came back, and they have the record collection day where they put out all the bands and stuff, and record companies even got into it. Still put out special collection of on that day they'll put out a rarity album or something, and you can only get it on that day. Of course, that drives it up. Yeah, he said he really enjoyed it. Is it still going on, or is that ended? It may be over. Those things happen, but it was, but like I said, I've known people that collect a little bit of everything, and I know people. I mean, I kind of collect my things I wouldn't say it's collecting in a way. It is, because I'm not looking for specific things, but I do collect a lot of coffee mugs. I like coffee, and I like mugs, and I have tons of them. And in a way, of ball caps, I do collect different kinds. I look for stuff that's a little unique, or it's just something within something that I like. So I kind of have a lot of those. That's as close as I come to collecting, I guess, anything nowadays. But if my sister goes to like yard sales or something, and she finds something that's War Between the States or Star Wars or Star Trek or something like that, she'll find me deals on stuff for, like $1 or something. She'll pick it up and, bring it to me if it's a book or a figurine or whatever, and say, I thought you might like this. And so, I do kind of get stuff coming to me like that. And I have collected quite a bit of stuff at work. People notice. I try to collect, they're not worth any money, but I like the old Westerns, and I like to get stuff with some of the old Western cowboys and shows and stuff. And people stop by and look at some of that. So they're supposed to come out with a new season. Not sure when. Well, there's some fans out there for it. There's some fans out there for it. It just makes it fun. You get all into it, and people like their viewing, and they look forward to new episodes of things that they like that. So that's cool. So, at what age did you become an Earnhardt fan? When did you say that's my guy? Was you a kid? Was you an adult? What? And what's your earliest memories of Earnhardt? That would be interesting. I go back, and I said, because this really interests me, and I'm passionate about things I'm interested in, obviously, is I go back to the days of Richard Petty, Buddy Baker, Cale Yarborough, Bobby Allison, David Pearson, and the list goes on. I can rattle them off like it's yesterday because that's what I go back to. And I really enjoyed the racing back there. Then I sort of shifted into year 56. I'll be 60 this year. So, and so I've been watching racing a long time. I mean, I was more into it probably back in the 80s, 90s. I got away from it a little bit, and I've kept up with it some. I like some of the newer drivers, but not all of them. A lot of it's changed. Became a fan in your 30s. Okay. Well, that would have been a good time. I mean, that's a good time to get into it. By the way, when I was leaving we were at the Georgia Bulldog game. This is before, I don't even know if we had cell phones at this time, but we were at the Georgia Bulldog game, and we had left the game. It's a 3-hour drive from there we were season ticket holders back then, and we were headed home, and we heard about the wreck at the beginning of headed home. It was they talked about it on the post game on the Georgia radio network, and they talked about we heard the clip of I think it was Darrell Waltrip talking about they don't look good, they're getting emergency services there, and then it was nothing. It was radio silence. We listened to all the post game it was almost, it ran for 3 hours, so we was almost home. I mean, almost home, and well, thanks, well preserved maybe, but we got almost home, and the news came over the radio that in fact Dale Earnhardt had died in that wreck, and it was a gut punch. I couldn't believe it, and I mean, it was you could feel that, how that just permeated across the landscape. You could feel that. And I came back to work, and I had a friend that I worked with. He's not working there currently. And I thought about him immediately because he was a huge Earnhardt fan. And, he was in a funk for a while, a couple of months. I mean, especially for a couple of weeks. I mean, it was like, for him, it was like a family member had died. And it was a sad time, very sad time. And, that machine, that Earnhardt machine, you can just imagine that grinding to a halt, and, but yeah, you just don't forget stuff like that. It's like the day Elvis died or the day, whatever, you remember where you were at. And I remember that like it was yesterday, because in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, it's a bad incident, but he's going to be okay. They're always okay. We didn't realize the impact of how hard he hit the wall, and they didn't have the safer barrier back then to that degree. They had some things on some tracks. This track obviously did not, and they didn't have the Hans device, which was developed out of that, or maybe it was already out there and they started using it. But the force of impact that he hit that wall and hitting the steering wheel. And I think maybe they already had it and he didn't want to wear it. He used to go to Texas Motor Speedway. Okay. That'd be a great one to go to. That's a good track. I mean, that's a fun track. I have said that I would like to go to a race this year, and that's honestly I've never been. I've never been to a race. I've always watched it, but this because of the rising cost of things, and there's been some changes. Some of the tracks don't sell out like they used to, and there's an opportunity to go, and it's still expensive as I'll get out, but I'm within 2 hours of or 3 hours, maybe it's 3 hours 3 hours of Bristol Motor Speedway. So it's not that far, even if it's 4 hours. I think it's three something hours, but I would like to go up to Bristol and see when there. I'm within about 2.5 hours of Hampton, the Atlanta Motor Speedway. I could go there. I wouldn't be against going up and going. There's a couple other tracks within. Even Kentucky, I'm gonna look at the season and kind of see, but I would like to go before I get too decrepit to go. Just get out there and get into a race. I would like to see one and just feel that intensity. And Bristol's a little different animal. You don't get the full force of that that column coming around at 190 miles an hour, depending on the track. That's amazing. But I would like to do that. Yeah, it is a short track, a lot of fun, bump and grind. But it'd be cool. And the sight lines are all great there. I mean, that's one good thing is the sight lines are really good. So that would be fun. But I'd want to experience a super speedway for sure. And short track. So we'll see. It just depends. I've tossed around the idea of maybe going to one this year, especially since we're going to do the program, kind of doing on-site, some videos from on-site where I can, and just kind of bring that experience back to the podcast. So that may happen. I may see if my co-host would like to go, and I got to talk to him this week. I'm in a class today and tomorrow, so I'm not going to see him, but maybe Thursday or Friday I can catch up with him, and we've definitely got to catch up. We got to talk about the show. But yeah, hey, I appreciate you being here this morning. I bring a lot of information. I hope you'll stay with us. And if you'd ever like to come up and talk racing, let us know. We'll bring you up. You can just talk about your collection or whatever you like to talk about with the racing. Who is your driver now? Do you have a driver now? Do you like someone? I mean, the Earnhardts are gone, obviously, to death and or retirement. Is there someone that you really root for now as a fan? I mean, that's the thing. You lose your driver, it kind of sucks the life out of your wanting to follow something because you don't have anybody that you really like. It takes a while to really develop that. There's been a driver or two that I kind of liked, but they weren't really, I've rooted for a couple that weren't huge stars. They weren't with huge teams, but I did like a couple. So no, not now. So, well, maybe you can find it. Maybe you can find that person. They won't replace, but maybe you can find. Do you watch the race? Do you watch the race at all, or you just totally move away from it? That'd be interesting to know. Maybe if you still watch, you could find someone to kind of root for. What's the guy everybody hates now? I know his name. I can see his face, but either love him or hate him. I mean, what's the guy? He's getting a little long on the tooth now. He's still good, but he's not the driver he was. That's what happens. You get a little older. It's not as you're not as hard charging as you used to be. But he's the guy, the bad boy of the sport. There's a couple of them, but there's a lot of young drivers coming up in NASCAR. It's really they're really good. I mean, there's a lot of really good drivers coming up. So I don't know. We'll see, and just develop that. So, but yeah, folks, keep an eye on the news today. There'll be confirmation hearings ongoing. Like last night, one of these other cabinet members was confirmed. And Joey Logano, yeah, he kind of gets one of them. There's people love or hate him. That's not the one I was thinking of, but he's another one. He's one of the two I was thinking about. People that are really like him or they can't stand him. They say Logano gets accused of wrecking people. So does the other guy. That's what the charge always is, right? They spun my guy out. They wrecked me. I can't stand that guy. NASCAR's kind of like hockey. A good fight breaks out. It's a good day. They don't happen as much in NASCAR as it does hockey, but it does happen. Um, what is that guy's name? His brother's name was Kurt. Kurt, he's retired now, I think. He might be a car owner or something, but my brain's not working this morning. So many things on my mind this morning. I got up and I was having trouble with one of my streams, and I was like, oh, so I was a little late coming in. Don't like Chase Elliott. That is my co-host. That's who he roots for. He's a huge Chase Elliott fan. So I'm not a Chase Elliott fan, but that's who he roots for. So it'd be fun. So I'll have to counter that with someone else. So there's a guy that I've rooted for. I'm not sure. I'm gonna make that decision this year. Lock in and. You remember Ernie Irvan? I used to like him. He was kind of like that. People that loved him or hated him. I liked Ernie Irvan. Of course, the wreck that messed him up. He got really Bush. Yes, that's it. That's the name. That is the dude. He is the bad boy that people either love him or they hate him. I mean the Bush brothers, but he's the only one left. I think his brother's mostly retired now. And his brother's more of a jerk than he is. I mean, I couldn't stand that guy. I remember when he dressed down Dr. Jerry Punch one day, and that was totally uncalled for how he talked to him that day. And Kurt, that was. And I said, I will never, there's no way I'll ever root for that guy. Kyle Busch, yes. He's one of them. Logano's the guy coming on. Yeah, you know what? There's no in between. You just summed it up. I hate them. I get it. There's a lot of hate. I had a manager I used to work with. He wasn't my manager, but he was one of the managers. And oh man, he could not stand Bush. I mean, it was his passion in life to crack on that guy every chance he got, you know. And he would talk a long time. He went to a lot of races, and I forget who he rooted for. I don't remember now, but oh my gosh, he hated that guy. He'd talk more about him than he would the guy that he liked because he loved hating on that guy, Kyle Busch. He's really talented, but he's also very cocky and just he's made a lot of people mad. He's definitely aggressive. He's definitely wrecked people out, and there's a lot of hate to go around for that. He's still very good. He's still very good, but not dominating like he used to. But some of that is just changes in cars and stuff too. That might not be totally him. He's still very capable to be a leader in the sport and win. But yeah, that guy is he's fun to crack on. I mean, he's like I say, he has said some things before that were very controversial too. I mean, you know, he's gotten in trouble a few times. He's a big dude. I mean, he's tall as you. His brother was talented, not as talented as him, I don't think, but they definitely have an attitude. I mean, it's in both of them. We need to meet their parents. Fun. Where did this come from? They're smart Alex. I mean, they really are. But you know, some people saw Earnhardt as a smart aleck, and he was very competitive, and he would dress you down. But another thing that what differentiated Earnhardt from a lot, and you know this, was how he helped those in the sport. I mean, how, you know, there were times he gave motor, you know, made sure somebody had a motor laid or something like that. I mean, back in the day, people cracked about his name, but, you know, he'd helped Dick Trickle before, you know, to get in a race and stuff, to be able to race. And so he gave back to those that came before him and honored those. And but the Intimidator, I mean, nobody wanted to see that dude behind him in the mirror, you know, with 2 laps to go. Nobody. They loved the thrill of it, but they're like, oh man. And more times than not, he found a way to get around him and win the race. So, and you know, Junior, it was really unfair. I mean, he kind of got measured against his dad so much, and he did win quite a bit, but and he was always competitive. But he, obviously, it's hard. To get to that kind of level of championships and or race wins, rarefied air. Jeff Gordon's gotten up there, and there's a couple others, but it's not easy, and it's such a competitive sport. And I will say this. I'm not a fan of the road courses. I just never liked the NASCARs involved with that. I'm just not. So Sonoma, oh my God, there's a couple of them. I just never really liked those. I just don't think the NASCAR doesn't really work as well. There's people that are into that, but I kind of had a feeling. Yeah, I never liked Gordon. He was the fun, another fun guy to go after. I was never a fan of him. I had other drivers that I liked. I liked Mark Martin back in the day. You can tell I kind of rooted for Ford drivers, and a couple others, but I was never a fan of Gordon. And I was never a fan of what's the other dude that retired and he's a car owner, or he was. I think he still is. Another smart aleck. What is that guy? God, I cannot believe I can't think this morning. He had the guy, the Hispanic driver, driving for him and his team at one point. Oh man, what is it? He does a lot of extra racing, like dirt tracks and stuff. I can't think of it, but yeah, Stewart. Thank you. You're helping my brain this morning. I never was a fan of Stewart either. He kind of come in that same mold of the Bushes and stuff. He kind of attitude, Tony Stewart, very talented though. I'm not going to say anything about his talent. He's talented, but another cocky kind of guy. He's a guy that was fun to dislike. There's been a few of them, and then it's funny because you always have that one driver that wins fan favorite every year or something. Awesome Bill from Dawsonville, he won that thing forever. Yeah, the Home Depot car. Very, very talented though. He was bringing it. I give him credit. And he raced. He truly was a race fan. Like I say, he would go out and race small track. He'd go out and watch racing. As if he didn't have enough on his plate, he would go out and watch in an area. He would. There's a lot of them that do. And he's another one of those that likes to drive the junior circuit and all that for the experience and or just a race. They get So you're also a rude poodle, by the way. That's fine. So we have appreciate y'all coming in this morning. And when you have a name like that. Oh, you're also Rude Poodle. You're saying you're the same. Okay, you switched names on there or something. Okay. Sorry, I misunderstood. But it's funny to see those names. But yeah, thanks for coming in. I appreciate you coming in through YouTube, and I appreciate that. I'm gonna have to get off here in a second because I do have a class, and I've got to drive about 30 minutes or so, and drop some kids off at school. I don't have to be at the place as early as I thought I did, so that's kind of nice. We'll probably be back this evening with some sort of online presence. So I would suspect around 7-ish, 8-ish, somewhere in there. So then we might do a couple of shows. But going to get out here this morning. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for saying that. That means a lot. And we try to make it. We try to make it entertaining. We try to have a lot of fun. And we're a couple of older guys. I'm the oldest. But we do talk about a lot of different kinds of stuff, and we've got some friends that come be a part. We do a lot of different types of programming. We have some interviews that are coming up that should be really, really good. And don't forget, we're going to be trucking Robert Diamond, who's going to be walking the Appalachian Trail. He's getting ready to step off pretty soon. He's supposed to be back on with us right before he goes, and he's going to thank you. He's going to check in from the trail, from the Appalachian Trail. He's walking the whole thing, and he's carrying the veterans. I saw his post on Facebook. He was carrying the Rossi Eshelman carried the name plates. He's carrying the keychains with the names on them. But if you know of a veteran who unfortunately succumbed to suicide due to PTSD or something like that, or a first responder, look him up on Facebook, Robert Diamond. and he's going to walk the trail with those, and then he'll get them back to you. So he does have some fundraising going on, not for the cost of the trail. He's going to donate those to veterans things. We're going to have him on, though. We're going to have him back on. We also have interview. Elizabeth was awesome. That clip is out there, by the way. The clip is out there. I worked to get that late last night, and it's about a 1:18 clip. So we got it up, and we're going to add to that today. And we'll probably play that in Wednesday's show. So, all right. Hey, take care and have a great day. God bless. I got to go. I got to get busy. I could sit here for another hour or two going on, but we'll see. We'll see you this afternoon, this evening, or tomorrow, whenever we see you. Y'all have a great day. Be safe. Enjoy the warm weather if you got it. And we salute you. Thank you for watching the Southern Fried Podcast. God bless.
Well, once again, it's time, my friends, for another meet and greet. We're Southern Fried and nationwide, so hang on to your seat. Look around, here's what I found. I guess you'll never know what you'll see on the Southern Fried Podcast Show.